Wow, October 24th, 2024, huh? Gotta say, that was a night for the NBA history books.
Oh, yeah, for sure. A night of, what was it, like a night of firsts? Some amazing stuff.
Definitely a night of firsts. I mean, where do we even begin? A father-son duo on the court?
Never seen that before.
A team almost breaking a three-point record, and, oh yeah, a championship celebration thrown in there just for good measure.
You know, what amazes me is how this one night kind of captured like the whole feel of basketball, you know, individual talent, that family connection.
Oh, yeah.
And you can even see how the game itself is evolving, you know, like it's changing right before our eyes.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in, right? Let's start with that Lakers game.
Yep.
LeBron James and his son, Bronny, making history as the first father-son duo to ever play in an NBA game together.
Together.
I mean, can you imagine the emotion?
It's unprecedented. I mean, think about it. We've had those father-son pairs in other sports.
Right.
Right? Like baseball, you got the Griffeys.
Right.
Hockey.
Right.
The Howes. But this is the NBA. This is huge. This goes beyond sports. I mean, just think about the pressure on Bronny.
Oh, my God.
Making his NBA debut with the whole world watching, playing alongside, like, his dad, his legendary father. Talk about pressure.
And you know LeBron was aware that. Do you remember that moment, that hot mic moment where he tells Bronny, just play carefree? Like, just that dad advice right there.
Fatherly wisdom.
Mixed with, oh my gosh, the roar of that crowd, and then that shared post-game interview where LeBron calls Bronny his lifeline. I'm sorry, it's like a movie.
You know, and you can't help but wonder, right?
Yeah.
How does this impact the Lakers season as a whole? You know, is LeBron playing with, like, a renewed purpose?
Right.
Does Bronny's presence, like, push the team in a different direction? I don't know. This is a story that's bigger than just one game.
It really is. And it gets you thinking about the future of the game, too. I mean, could this inspire a whole new generation of players? Maybe even more father-son duos?
Who knows? Anything is possible. But, you know, while the Lakers were making history, the Celtics were putting on a show of their own offensively. I mean, they tied that NBA record for three-pointers in a single game. Can you believe that? 29 against the Knicks.
Jason Tatum on fire that night.
Unstoppable.
But it wasn't just him, right? The Celtics' whole strategy, their game plan, it all seems to revolve around that three-point line.
Oh, absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
a trend. You're seeing that more and more across the league. Teams are starting to understand the power of the long ball, that long-range shot.
Right.
But it's tricky. It's high risk, high reward.
It is.
You know, if those shots aren't falling, you can find yourself in trouble real fast.
And they were so close to breaking that record. They really were. But then Derek White admitted that he jinxed them by talking about it while they were tied. Like a classic case of speaking too soon, right?
Oh, man. It's funny.
know.
But it also kind of shows you, like, that mental pressure that comes with chasing a record like that. You know, even for those guys, for the pros.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, right? How do teams even begin to defend against that kind of three-point barrage? I mean, will we see defensive strategies change across the league? Could this affect how young players are even trained, like more focus on long-range accuracy?
I think that's a really valid point. And, you know, while we're on the topic of the Celtics, we have to mention the other big thing that happened that night. That was the night they raised their 18th championship banner before the game.
Wow.
And talk about a powerful image. Legends like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, all there to witness it. It was amazing.
Wow.
It's really something special. You know, see that banner go up with all those guys watching, you know, the Celtics legends. It really says something about their legacy. Like, it sets the bar pretty high for this current team.
Yeah.
You know, they got to try and live up to that history.
It does. And speaking of legacies, let's shift gears over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They made a pretty big commitment, extending Rudy Gobert's contract.
You know, when a team makes a move like that, it's a statement, right? It says, we're here to win, we're serious.
Yeah.
And Gobert, I mean, he's a force, probably one of the best defenders in the league.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he anchors that defense, blocking shots, controlling the paint.
Oh, yeah.
So by keeping him, you know, the Timberwolves are basically saying, hey, we're going all in. We're building a championship team.
They are. But, you know, they had a tough first night going up against LeBron and the Lakers.
They did.
So maybe a sign of things to come. Or just, you know, first game jitters.
Hard to say at this point. You know, it's early. But that team, I mean, they've got a lot of potential. It'll be fun to watch them as the season goes on.
It will. And then on the other side of things, you have the Philadelphia 76ers announcing that Joel Embiid and Paul George will miss the season opener due to injuries. I mean, that's a huge blow, right? For a team with such high hopes.
Yeah, it's a tough break, losing two stars right off the bat.
Right.
It really just highlights that unpredictable nature of the NBA. You know, you can have the best plans, the best strategies, but then, bam, injuries happen.
It's true. So how does this affect the 76ers strategy, going forward? Can they even contend for a title without those two big names?
Well, it's going to be a challenge for sure. A lot depends on how serious those injuries are, and how fast those guys can recover. But even without Embiid and George, the Sixers have a lot of talent on that roster. They're going to need other players to step up, fill those gaps. This is a chance for guys like Tyrese Maxey or Eric Gordon, to really show what they can do.
Absolutely. So this one night, we had historic moments, unbelievable plays, and even some curveballs, with those injuries. But what really stood out for you? What's the one thing you're taking away from all of this?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's just that reminder that the NBA, it's constantly evolving. You've got this, once-in-a-lifetime event with the James family. The Celtics are kind of showing us how the game is changing with that three-point game. And then you have the Sixers, dealing with the reality of injuries right out of the gate. It's a lot to process.
It really is. And it wasn't just the superstars, right? We got a glimpse of the future with Bronny's debut.
Yeah.
And saw some potential rising stars on teams like the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
This one night really was like a mini version of what makes the NBA so captivating.
It really was. And, while the Lakers and Celtics got all the headlines, we got to talk about the team on the other side of that record-tying three-pointer game, right? The Knicks.
The Knicks, yeah. I mean, they were on the receiving end of that offensive explosion from the Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
Not exactly the start they were hoping for, right?
Yeah, probably not. But you got to remember, the Knicks, they're rebuilding, they're retooling. They've got some new pieces to work with, with those additions of Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns.
That's right. They're trying to build something special in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And this season is really all about figuring out how those pieces fit together, finding that chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a process, blending that new talent with the players you already have.
The balancing act, for sure.
And the coach, right. How does Tom Thibodeau, how does he utilize these new weapons, especially guys like Bridges and Towns, who are used to being, the main guys on their teams?
Yeah, it's a puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams are facing this. How do you balance that individual talent with team chemistry?
Exactly.
How do you build a system where everyone can kind of, do their thing and thrive? It's tough. Those are the questions that keep coaches up at night.
They do. And while we're talking about challenges, let's go back to the 76ers for a second.
Okay.
Losing Embiid and George right before the season starts, that's rough.
And it's a tough break.
Yeah.
Especially for a team with such high expectations, But this is where you see that next man up mentality come into play.
Yeah.
It's a chance for other players to step up, show everyone what they're capable of, especially with the spotlight on them.
Yeah. Think about a guy like Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, yeah.
He's shown flashes of brilliance, and now he's got the opportunity to, really lead.
He does.
And then you have a veteran like Eric Gordon. He's been in those big games, right?
Yes.
He can bring that stability and experience to the team.
Absolutely. It's interesting how, the whole team dynamic shifts almost overnight. Roles change, strategies have to be adjusted, and new opportunities pop up everywhere. A lot of it, I think, depends on the coach.
Oh, yeah.
Doc Rivers, he's a veteran coach. He's been through it all.
He has.
So it'll be really fascinating to see how he handles this, how he leads the team through these early challenges.
It will. So even though we saw some incredible moments and historic achievements that night, it's a good reminder that the NBA season, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is.
There are going to be ups and downs, surprises, setbacks along the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's what makes it so exciting to watch, right?
It does.
You never know what's going to happen next. One night, it's a father and son making history. The next, it's a team shattering records. And then, bam, another team is hit with these major setbacks before the season even starts. It's a wild ride, and we're just getting started.
It is a wild ride. So, as we keep watching the NBA this season, let's remember that every game is a story just waiting to unfold.
It is.
We got to look beyond just the box scores, the highlights.
Yeah.
Pay attention to those individual journeys, the team dynamics, those strategic battles,
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to enjoy this game, to appreciate the beauty of it.
Right.
Just keep your eyes open, stay curious, and be ready for anything.
That's what the NBA is all about. That's a great way to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most remarkable nights in NBA history.
My pleasure.
And hey, this is just the beginning, right? The season is young. There are so many stories still to be told. We'll see you next time.